Hey everybody, Z. Hope everyone's doing good. Yesterday I went to respond to a comment that I had, and for whatever reason I was on another device, and when I responded to the comment, I realized it was going over to my backup channel, which I didn't realize what was going on over there. I tested a video on one of these backup channels, I guess it was like 2 years ago, and then I found out that there are hundreds of subs, comments, and thousands of views on a video that's the same video I put on my main channel where I get like 100 views. Of course, you know my main channel is shadow banned and blocked and everything else. But I was really pissed because all the comments were people reaching out to me for help. And for whatever reason, they think now that I didn't respond. So I wanted to say this from the beginning. I respond to all comments. And if you didn't get a response back from me, hit me up again, because YouTube has done every little dirty trick they can to keep, our good channels from growing. I will say this, YouTube, this is an all-time low. I mean, people are reaching out for help and you're making sure they don't get that help. I mean, you've gone to an all-time low with some of the crap that you're pulling. Having said that, the video was on something called the marriage wrecker. And this affects, and if you're watching this video, everyone watching this affects you. It's in your family. It's a dynamic taking place, whether you know it or not. You better identify it. You better be able to understand what's going on and deal with it, because it will destroy the people you love. Anywho, if you haven't realized lately, we're at war. We're under attack. Weather weapons are decimating. The directed energy weapons, disguised as energy, or weather weapons, are destroying this country. In Florida, you know what's happened to everyone down here and being ripped and torn apart. North Carolina is a disaster worse than, I don't even know how to even describe going through North Carolina. They're still claiming like 200 bodies, and they've ordered 10,000 body bags. There are thousands of people, they don't know where they are. And the news is only saying 200. New Mexico 2 days ago just got hit with floods and people down there. We got another storm on the way. Got the one that just wiped out the whole continent of Cuba, island of Cuba down there. Over in Cannes, France, and Italy over there, the streets are flooding out. We're at war. It's a war on us. And this thing I'm going to share with you is one of the attacks is on us. And you better identify this one, and you better be aware of what's going on. Because again, this affects all of us. Okay. The video was called The Marriage Wrecker, and it was my experience with SSRIs, what we call benzodiazepines. I'll tell you right off the bat, even if you're not taking them, you're taking them and you don't know it. They're in so many foods and so many of these, especially these energy drinks. And people are testing positive for both benzodiazepines and amphetamines on these energy drinks. I won't say the brand names. Okay, let's get to why this is all taking place. Why is so many if your men are watching this and you have spouses or girlfriends, all of us are telling almost the exact same story. Ladies, if you're listening, you better really pay attention here. I mean, this, like I said, this affects all of us. And why is us as men, how are we dealing with this? Do we even know what is even going on with our wives, our daughters, our spouse, girlfriends, significant others? Okay, they're under attack. First of all, you need to understand they're victims. These doctors are writing scripts for the most insidious fucking class of drugs that's ever been created. And I'll tell you how they work and what their main purpose is. And who is behind this is always those big people with those humongous noses. You know who we're talking about, the hook noses. They're behind all this. This is an attack on our race of people. Last year there were, let me get this right, 50 million, 60 million prescriptions written for this. There's only 300,000 people in the US of this age group. I think it's even less than that. We're now at 20% of everyone. 20% is on this. And if it's primarily on the females taking it, then we're getting close to 40% of the females in this country are on some form of a serotonin regulating drug, which we call these benzodiazepines. And what it's doing to our wives, our daughters, our mothers, our significant others is it's almost a fate worse than death, what it's doing to them. Let's get started with this. Let's back up a little bit to where these things come from. It originally was LSD. I think it was Eli Lilly who created LSD. And the first group or organization who jumped all over, of course, was our CIA and said, ooh, mind altering. And Sidney Gottlieb and that whole group of doctors who worked the beginnings of MKUltra with Dr. Ewing Campbell and all them, to do MKUltra and Monarch, which is the abbreviation German for mind control. And they found out that these drugs play a big part in the ability to control someone's mind. Okay, so a benzo, the best that we can extrapolate and break back down is this class is considered, LSD is a serotonin regulating drug. So by just that alone, your benzodiazepine by its own name is a form of LSD. So you're literally putting someone on LSD. Instead of going to a concert and hitting some acid on a piece of paper for a one-night trip, imagine doing it every day. And now you'll know why at that 3-week marker, as all of us know what the 3-week marker is, and I'll explain it to you in a minute if you haven't figured it out yet. Why it's happening at week number 3? It's because your spouse has been put on literally acid. And get this, as in if you think that's bad enough, the drug is based in fluoride, or hexafluoroacylic acid, fluoride. And if we know anything in our community, we know what fluoride does to the pineal gland in the brain. That's basically your third eye. That's what connects you to your creator. So put that thing in fluoride and bake it, encrust it, and it loses its ability. It's like a cell phone that loses all of its bars and it can't get a signal anymore. You're a cell phone that has no signal. That's what your spouse has become. It's 100 times worse. So not only is your spouse, and I'm all over the board on this. I'm sorry, I got too much to cover. I'm gonna try to rush through everything here. But not only as they've been cut off from their creator, it shuts down the frontal and prefrontal cortex of the brain. It's basically a chemical lobotomy. And there is where we call our divine feminine part of our brain, where we have love, care, empathy, compassion, emotions, ability to reason and love and all those things, gone, because that's shut off. And when you shut off that portion of the brain, the mammalian brain, we call it, it goes back to the base core of the brain, which is called the amygdala, if I'm saying this correct, where we find the medulla oblongata. And that is that part of the brain that's responsible for the 3 F's, feeding, fighting, and fucking. The medulla oblongata, the creature that has the largest medulla oblongata on Earth is the alligator. Go figure. It's a reptile and has slit eyes, and it only does the 3 things. It has no emotion in it whatsoever. So you've taken loving, caring, your little wife, Betsy Sue, and you've turned her into a fucking alligator, meaner than hell. And when you shut off this part, there's a whole host of things that happens. I want to give you something here for the men. You'll pick up on this. There's some physiological characteristics that happen. So you can identify, even if you know you've never seen the prescription bottle or you don't know they're on it. Let me give you some ways that you will know that your spouse is on it. Because a lot of times they'll hide this from you. They'll keep it in their purse or somewhere else. You know, it's fucking doctors. Anyway, the ability to the body to regulate body temperature is gone. And this is when we say someone is cold-blooded, it's because they're operating back there on that reptilian core. And by the way, we're all reptiles. We all have that at the 3 triune brain, okay? And it's like Obama said in The View, we all got one thing in common. We all got a reptilian core, and he was right. So when your brain is functioning on that one like computer back there, it doesn't have the ability to regulate body temperature, and it will become what is called cold-blooded. And you'll find that your spouse will have physiological characteristics of that. Like say at night, they can't stay warm, and they take showers that'll burn your skin off, and they'll sleep with heating blankets at night and shiver, because if there's no sun or no body's producing heat from activity during the day, they can't regulate their body heat, because it fucks with causes a low blood pressure, and blood's not pumping, especially to the extremities. And you will see that. You'll also see the slit eye. And that's when they blink, that eyeball that goes from a round pupil to a slit. That's because that's that brain functioning. So when you watch these videos of people on, oh, they're reptilian because their eye blinks. Well, one, we all are. And the reason that eye's blinking is because they're a fucking psychopath, because they're operating on reptilian core. A lot of reasons that can cause that. Mind fracturing can. We know, listening from Max Spears, when he taught us all about how we fracture the mind, which is run through the CIA's MKUltra, which is mind control, which became Project Monarch. It requires, one, a fracturing of the mind. So let me say this. If your spouse or someone in your family, especially these young ladies, young girls, and they're putting so many young girls on these things, it's unbelievable. They become cold, and they lose their, oh, here's another thing. I'm sorry to jump around. Emotional blunting. They will become very blunt emotionally. Let's say you're watching a funny movie and you're laughing your ass off, and they're just kind of smiling. They're happy, but they can't laugh. And I've experienced all these, by the way, with my significant other. Let's say something's really sad and you're bawling your eyes out, and she's just kind of like, that's sad, but she can't cry. There's another characteristic that's a big red flag. Sexual numbness. They cannot produce orgasms or get full erections, and they have the inability to experience sex. Most time it's just fucking gone. Okay? There's another big character. So if you're wondering what's wrong with her, that's kind of what's going on. And I want to stop and say this. They'll get rid of everybody else in their life. They'll keep everybody else in their life but you, the person they love and care about the most, because they have a loving relationship with you. They don't want that anymore. So guess who gets cut out of the picture? You. And the person closest will always be the spouse or the significant other. They'll have everybody else, life will go on, but just not you. They'll end up absolutely despising you because that part of them has been shut off. I've said many times before, there's a fate worse than death. This is one of them. It's like a person who's been married for somebody for a long time, they get dementia, and one day they don't remember who you are. They're still alive, but they're gone. That's in the case of all of us in this community that have been responding to or reaching out to me. You've all gone through the same thing. And let's talk about the 3-week thing. You can go online in the chat rooms and the threads, and you'll read the comments, written stories by the men, and you will think it's the same story being told over and over and over again. But you realize there's subtle nuances in there that say, no, this person was in Arizona, this person was in Connecticut, or this person was in Florida, this person was married 40 years, this one 38, this one 22, this one 6 years, they had 3 kids, they had 5 kids, and in every case the story's the same. My wife went in, they put her on a benzodiazepine, and with 3 weeks, she was gone. Just gone. I love you, honey, I love you too. She leaves for work that morning, you kiss, you hug, everything's great. She comes home, pack your shit and get out. I never want to see you again. So blunt, you think it's a practical joke on you. Then they call the police and they'll have you evicted, and you've done nothing wrong. And you are fucking destroyed because you can't figure out what the hell just happened. Well, what happened was at the 3-week mark is the blood-brain barrier, where the brain is fighting off this neurotoxin. And that's why these physicians will tell you, you got to stay on for a month. Just give it a month. You got to give it a month. Well, doctor, I don't feel quite right. Just let it do its thing. And they know. You hit that 3-week mark and the brain literally says, I can't fight it anymore. It shuts down and this part of the brain is done. It's a lobotomy. It's a chemical lobotomy. I want to say this. their hearts, and I've learned this, and this is where the hard part comes for everybody. Some encouragement, but a very hard part of this. We all have a heart. Their heart's still there. This significant other, your wife of 30 years or 40 years, where you had the best marriage any man could ever ask for and one day was gone, their heart's still there. It's just this thing here. It's like part of your car just being shut off. The engine still runs, but the air conditioner doesn't work. The windows don't roll down. The wipers don't work. The tail lights, headlights, but the engine still runs. That's what your spouse has become. And that person, that soul is still in there. It's trapped. And this thing is running it. And it's been shut down. That's hard. That's really hard. But in a way, it's good to know it's not you. And it's not her. It is this fucking insidious drug that they put them on. Now, there is a core reason this thing's taking place. And I know, and we all know that follow me and my channel, it comes from trauma. Because this whole fucking world is trauma-based mind control. And that's what MKUltra is. Every ditty, you're going to hear it. 50 to 80% of the women in this country, in America, have been sexually abused by daddy, stepdaddy, father figure. And it's now 1 in 4 boys. So there's some trauma that happened in their life, and most likely, I'd say 90+% reason why your spouse is on this is because something's coming back up. The mind can suppress things for so long. And I think when we get into midlife, most of us, when you get late 20s to 50 range through there, you kind of figure out life isn't the fairy tale that you thought it was. Traumas happen, marriages aren't working out, businesses are failing, there's some health issues, you don't look like the hottie you did in school or whatever it was, and you're getting depressed. Maybe your husband's out fooling around with a girl down the street. All these things are taking place. Sorry, let me I have the reason I'm sitting here, I got the desktop so I can pull these numbers off. But reality's hitting. And it's going to go to the same root cause for all of us. When you don't know who you are, where you are, nobody knows. These are questions no one can answer. Who we really are, where we really are, why we really are, when, where did we come from, where do we go? We can't answer any of these questions. We just know it isn't what we thought it was. And so this is the part of our life where we have to start figuring this shit out. And bringing trauma up forward from something as a child is coming into play. And this is the battleground. This is where it all goes down right here. And their goal is to take us and mind control us and turn us into little robots that do as we're told through all the 5G and everything else that's going on. And to get us programmable where they can control us, this part of the brain's got to go. It's got to be shut off. So we do as we're told. So this whole thing is a full spectrum dominance on us and our minds and controlling the minds. By the way, that's what the word government means, by the way, and religion, control the mind. This is one of the ways they're going at it. And this class of drugs is what's doing it now. Even if you're not, like I've said it before, even if you're not on one of these, it's in a lot of the foods and a lot of the sports energy drinks. So is amphetamines. So let me just say this, we're all under attack. What's the remedy to all this? Well, we got to get tough about this for a minute. There is remedy for it. The first is identifying the problem, but let's do this and get to the core of it. Everything is disassociation. It's a chemical disassociation and most likely an emotional one, a splitting or fracturing of the mind when we were young. But there's a precursor to everything, and that is we are all disassociated from someone, and that is our mother, our divine feminine mother. Every religion has a male deity, has a male this and that. The person that we're disassociated from is her. The first thing you have to do is get reconnected back to her. Watch my videos. I tell you how to do it. You're going to have to do some research. You're going to have to do some purgation, which is going to be some long suffering. And you got to get to the root cause of it for all of us. Remedy. First, identify the root cause, the disassociation. and deal with whatever trauma happened in your life and her life. But if you're the spouse, let me say this, if you're the spouse watching or the significant other, you're going to have to fix yourself first. You're going to have to get fucking strong, because your spouse, significant other, if you're weak, they're going to sense it, because there's a spiritual element taking place here too. They're going to sense your weakness. They're going to sense your fear. They're going to sense your hurt, and they're going to want to puke on you. You've got to get tougher and stronger than they are. It's the only thing that they're going to respond to or have any respect for. And if you go to them and you're whining and cry, oh, you hurt me, you shut that down right then. You become tougher than they are. This is hard. This is like John Wick type of grieving you go through and become tough out of it. Because she's going to need your strength, or he's going to need your strength to carry her and break her through this. Identifying what the root cause is and get strong about it. You're going to have to let go of her too, the person. You're going to have to say, I don't mean stop loving them. Love them more than you've ever loved eternally. Internal love for this person. But you're going to have to let them go and say, you know what? I may have lost him for the rest of this time here. You got to come to grips with that. When they will feel that disconnect. Trust me, they'll feel that disconnect when you become strong and you let them go. There's something that takes place, especially if you've had sexual intercourse with this person. There's a connection. When they feel that thing being cut, they know it. You're still there, you still love them, but I'm done. I'm done suffering over this. I'm done with this shit controlling me. You have to get to that point. One, for your own self-preservation, but for two, because when they feel that cut's gone, they're going to go into a little bit of a panic there, because there is a connection between the two of you. So get to that point and be strong, and then know how to bring remedy to this person. And that is healing, first of all, identifying, and then go and start healing these fractures. And then identifying what this thing is doing to the mind, and start your process. And there's a lot of help online. I'm not going to go to it in this video, and I'm running out of time. Do your research in there for people who have gone through the withdrawals of the SSRIs, how they did it. There is, I would say, and I use testosterone as the number one. I use testosterone because testosterone is picked up by the T1 receptor, and it circumvents everything else. And I'll try to do a separate video on that. Personally, I found that is one of the best things you can do, even for her. But know that what's taking place here is an attack on all of us. It's to take us down emotionally, turn us into fucking robots that are programmable, that do what we're told, and all this emotional stuff has to go. It's an attack on the divine feminine, and it's a root cause of our separation from her. Follow the work that I do, because this is my purpose for existence. It's become my everything, is to find remedy for what's happening here. So I'll say this for those who want to know, where are you at and what's going on now? I still haven't spoken to my spouse in 2 years and 7 months. I lose hope sometimes. But there's something, I have this, I don't know how to say this. I don't want to say if it's an assurance. I just know you do everything that you can do, regardless. Shit'll work out, trust me. But you do everything that you can do. You do it right, and be honest about everything. Just, I won't say have faith, because I don't have faith. I have a trust and know that there are laws in existence, and some laws cannot be broken, and the law of reciprocity is one of them. You do everything that you could do, you'll be all right. And be strong, because when this person comes back into your life, if you're not, you're going to blow it. You're probably only going to get one chance at it, okay? Because they're going to come back at some point. Be ready for it and be strong. Don't give up hope on them, but don't give up hope on yourself. Make yourself strong. Know this war is going on. This is an attack that's on everyone. We all got to work together in this. I'm going to close it with saying this. I lost my best friend. He blew his brains out in front of me. John Smallbine, my jiu-jitsu, judo, and boxing coach, did the same thing. I came home the year after this happened in 2023. The next door neighbor walked over and started talking to me. Never talked to this man before, and for whatever reason, he just connected to me, and I found out that his son was grieving. I said, what's wrong? He said, well, it's not him, it's his wife. He told me what happened. She went to the doctor for depression. Listen to this story. Went to the doctor for depression, put her in the hospital for a week, put her on, guess what? Same thing. 3 weeks later, she comes home. She's home, and the husband and wife are home, and she says, honey, I want to go for a drive. He goes, okay, he grabs the car keys. Let's go for a ride. She says, no, I want to go by myself. I just want to take a little drive. And he thought that was a little strange, but he said, okay. As she pulled out of the driveway, he panicked. So he got in his car and he followed her, and she went down this road in I think it was North Carolina, because this man lives in Florida, but that's right, it is North Carolina. And she went down this rural road, but this rural road is high speed, because it's, those rural, that's the way it is out in the country. So I think the speed limit was like probably 65 out there. And she pulls off the side of the road and gets out of the car, and there's this field. And he thinks she's just going to go walk in the field. So he's sitting back in his car watching. And she gets out of the car and she walks around the rear of the car, goes to the front of the hood, and stands there for a minute. And then she runs out in the road and throws herself in front of a semi-truck, and it splatters her all over the road. The husband's watching the whole thing. 3 weeks on one of these benzos, the same one that I'm talking about. I get in the car and I have to drive back to Michigan. I get up here. 2 days later, I'm talking to my mom, and I get here and they're heading out to a funeral. I said, whose funeral are you going to? She goes, well, the woman who owns the nail salon where I get my nails done, her daughter. I said, what happened to the daughter? And she said, she just put her head down. I went, oh no. And she said, yeah, she committed suicide. She hung herself in the closet. And I said, you know where I'm going with this, Mom? And she said, yeah. Well, come to find out, the grandfather was coming back in town. She hadn't seen her grandfather in like 15 years. And she had a panic attack over it. And she got a 3 weeks heads up that Grandpa was coming in town. Doctor put her on an antidepressant drug for her anxiety, anti-anxiety medication. And she went in the closet and hung herself, and her mom found her. And as it come out, a year later, sister was on it too. Grandpa had molested her. And here this little girl, I think either 17 or 18, panicked. Going back to the root cause of all this. When half or 80% of our girls are dealing with this. Be patient with them, love them, be kind to them, but make yourself strong. And yeah, let's all work together on this, okay? The marriage wrecker, this is a follow-up on it. Leave comments, please. Best thing you can do is get it out. Don't hold it in. Don't hold this hurt in. And if you're watching this, and some of the people who watch this, they bring their spouses to see it. I love you. I'm sorry you're going through what you're going through, but we're all victims of this. And know your spouse loves you. And let's start this process of healing. And anyway, yeah, it's a crisis. It's a war against all of us. And I'm at 20-something minutes where I'm at. 28. Oh, got to be under 30. All right, everyone. I love you all. I'll continue with some more. I got a whole bunch of statistics on this drug. Real quickly here. This thing produces, let me get this right, $16 billion a year for Big Pharma. $16 billion a year. Yeah. Remember where that money goes. Anyway, I love you. I'm out.